Look! It's a warrior! A great warrior! Will he eat us?
He looks nice.
I kind of feel bad for the licensed games of a decade ago, especially the ones based on cartoons. See, back then, it was Polygon City. Everything had to be in 3D. Even if you were making a game based on a 2D cartoon, right? Didn't matter. 3D was the future. 2D was the past, unfortunately. Of course, these days, that's not exactly the case anymore. You see lots of 2D games. 2D is cool again. About 10 years too late for poor Samurai Jack. Released in 2004, The Shadow of Aku is a 3D action game based on the popular Cartoon Network series Samurai Jack. And to the game's credit, it does get a few things right. One, there's an original story written specifically for the game, which is great. And two, it has the voice actors from the show, not to mention the same composer doing the music. All good things. But for a cartoon like Samurai Jack, where the style is so important, you miss that and nothing else matters. And unfortunately, that's sort of where The Shadow of Aku stands. Actually, the gameplay is not that great either. It stands there too. So this is basically your standard hack-and-slash action game. You play as Jack, who's on a quest to do something. I don't know. Honestly, even though there's an original story, it's never all that interesting, or well told for that matter. Anyway, your quest takes you to these little hub worlds, each with their own individual levels. And you notice pretty early on that, okay, I'm slashing open cages, I'm setting free these little guys. Wait, didn't I do that in the last world? Didn't I mean, I already did all this! So the objectives are pretty much all the same. From level to level, world to world, keep doing the same things over and over again. Which, okay, well, what about the gameplay? Because, you know, a cool gameplay hook could save this entire venture. I'd venture to say you won't find one here, not unless you consider button mashing a cool gameplay hook. Now, when it comes down to the nuts and bolts, The Shadow of Aku is actually pretty generic. Slash your sword, block projectiles, double jump, and slam back down. Same could be said for a million different games. But to be fair, you know, it may not be original or interesting, but it can be a little fun, at least in small doses, and provided you're a Samurai Jack fan. You get to do some occasionally fun platforming, you get to shoot a pretty cool bow. I mean, generic doesn't always mean terrible. And despite its lack of originality, The Shadow of Aku certainly isn't terrible. Although the game is very simple, it does try to spice things up a bit. You have some combo attacks, for example, but actually using them is just a pain in the ass. You have to wait for a bunch of enemies to surround you, and then you have to input a series of buttons, but you also have to be holding down the shoulder button, and it's just a clunky system. And since the enemies are such pushovers anyway, you don't even really need to bother with it. So the average gameplay, I mean, it is what it is. Unfortunately, where the game really misfires is with its presentation. Like I said, Samurai Jack was known for its style. And this is it's like making a Steamboat Willie game without whistling. You wouldn't do it. Even though there are some cool looking levels, Shadow of Aku kind of misses the show's trademark style. For fans, that might be the biggest disappointment of all. I mean, average gameplay, but with stylish Samurai Jack graphics, that'd be perfectly fine. In fact, that'd be awesome. This is just the average gameplay part. By the way, a big thanks to our main man Kevin from Jersey City, New Jersey, who has once again sent us a crapload of GameCube games. Well played, Kevin! And as for this one, well, on the plus side, the music's great, and sound in general. There's definitely some mindless fun to be had here, but it's not long before boredom and repetition overtake it. It's hardly a bad game, but unless you're a big Samurai Jack fan, The Shadow of Aku is a GameCube game to leave in the shadows.